For 2.5 years after the January 6th insurrection, we continue to learn more about the unprecedented attack and the circumstances that led to it. That includes lifting the curtain on an alarming connection between far-right extremism and police officers around the country. Last year, as the Washington Post reports, the Springfield, Illinois Police Department faced an internal reckoning when it came to light that one of their own was spouting white supremacist beliefs online. After those internet posts came to light, the officer was placed on unpaid leave and later resigned. Meanwhile, the Springfield Police Chief, Ken Scarlett, faced the difficult task of rebuilding trust between the community and his department. And Chief Ken Scarlett joins us now. Thank you very much for being on this morning. So tell us a little bit about how it came to light that you had an officer who was spouting these extreme beliefs online in your department.
Yeah, well, first, let me say thanks for having me, Mika. It's a pleasure to be a part of the show, and it's a pleasure to have this opportunity to share my experience so that others may learn from it. So, again, I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it was April 1st of 2022. Was just shy of 6 weeks into my chiefship, if you will, of the Springfield Police Department. Although I'd been a member of the agency for 23 plus years at the time, I was only chief for 6 weeks when I received a call from, at that time, my deputy chief, letting me know that a news story had just broke over the internet, and we were becoming aware of what potentially would become a major incident within our agency.
So, Chief, tell us more then. This is an 18-year officer, a veteran of the police force there, somebody who was respected on the police force, respected in the community. What did you learn on that phone call, and what was your first reaction? What did you know you had to do?
Well, what I learned was that the gentleman who worked for our agency, who I thought I knew, also the gentleman who was a part of the United States military and the National Guard for 20 years, who individuals in his branch of service thought they knew, was not who we were dealing with. What was uncovered was over 50,000 different posts over the course of several years of hate speech towards the Jewish community, the African American community, the LGBTQ community. So, yes, it was extremely disturbing to me as the new police chief, and I knew I had to do the right thing, and the right thing was very simply that this gentleman was no longer going to be in a capacity where he could serve and protect the citizens of Springfield.
Chief, do you recommend, therefore, based on your own experience, that there be some way that it is mandated from a federal position that all municipalities, cities, et cetera, have to have a real level of scrutinizing who's on the force? Because if you have people like in your case that are openly and adamantly anti-Semitic, anti-Black, I mean, how can you put them out there to serve the public when they have these very bigoted and biased views? And shouldn't we have that at a federal level where it's not optional per county, per city, per state?
Well, thanks for the question, Reverend. I think it's important to understand, and it's a cliche, but I'm going to use it, that every good cop hates bad cops, right? And that's exactly what we have here. You know, there are over 650,000 law enforcement officers in this country who faithfully serve and protect their communities on a daily basis. And I think that's very important that the public recognizes that. And so what's transpired here in the state of Illinois as part of the Safety Act is a database, if you will, to register individuals who should not be police officers for various reasons, whether that be for a situation such as this, whether that be for a use of force scenario, for an arrest, whatever the case may be. And so to your point, there's one thing that I would like to see happen, and whether that's the state of Illinois or nationwide, is that individuals like this cannot bounce from department to department. This individual has no business ever stepping foot into the law enforcement realm again. And quite frankly, it's an embarrassment as a chief of police that there is someone like this who wore this uniform at one time.
So, Chief, this patrol officer had 18 years on the job. So I have a two-part question for you. One, were there many complaints, if any, against him filed during those 18 years? And two, the police union. Sometimes unions can be obstinate in their support of a patrol officer as opposed to the chief of police. How did you handle the police union?
Yeah, good question. So let me start with the first part. So as part of the thorough and robust review process of former Officer Aaron Nichols, my internal affairs team really scoured through absolutely every body-worn camera video that we had, every traffic stop that he made that was recorded. And this individual was beyond professional. I think that was part of his persona to act in such a fashion, not to let anyone into maybe, his private life and his dealings. So no, we went through 18 years of his past. That includes the state's attorney's office reviewed every arrest report that he ever wrote, and there were no instances to where his ulterior motives ever shined through while he wore this uniform. Regarding the second part, I think it's important to establish, we do have unions in the state of Illinois. It's important to establish working relationships with your union leadership, which is something that I've strived to do here at the Springfield Police Department. I have a great working relationship with them. And when I brought them in and told them exactly what was transpiring, they were 100% on board that this individual had no business, again, wearing this uniform.
Springfield, Illinois, Chief of Police Ken Scarlett, thank you very much for coming on the show this morning. We appreciate your sharing that with us. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here. And like I said, if I could use this opportunity as a learning experience for other law enforcement leaders throughout the country, then that's what I'm committed to do.
That's great.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.